Hi chaps and chapettes. Before we get into this video of the Forbidden Desert, I just wanted to talk to you very quickly about this video. It's got SE next to it, which means it's special edition. Now why is it a special edition, you ask? Well, I do a normal review which I give to Tom Vassell at the Dice Tower, and that's a place that you can check out, which is really good for games. It's got millions of reviews, so go there. And again, this is a special edition because I tweak it a little bit. I put some little Easter eggs in there, here and there, and also I put some backing music in. And the other thing that I do is at the end of this, I do a little segment on what games I've been playing. So if you're interested, you can click here and skip all this review because you've probably got the game and you know it's good. Yeah, so you can check that out. Anyway, I'll disappear now and leave you with my review. Wiggly lines.
Hi chaps and chappets. Did you know that some of the nicest things in life come in tins? Like tea bags, sausages and beans. And this tin used to have beautiful chocolates in it, but now it's got biscuits. Hey, where the custard cream's gone? And this tin used to have biscuits in it, and now it's got... Oh! And this tin's got a game in it by Matt Panchmemic Leacock. But is it any good? So let's start on a positive note. This tin holds everything perfectly. Look at that. Beautiful. That's how boxes should be. The rulebook is beautifully laid out, easy to understand, takes about 20 minutes to read, and once you've read it, you pretty much understand how to play the game and you can take the game straight to the table. Although I did have to reference the book once.
So what is the Forbidden Desert? Well, it's a desert and it's forbidden. Yeah, anyway, Forbidden Desert is kind of like the last 30 minutes of a Indiana Jones film or the last act in a Drake's Uncharted adventure. The players play adventurers and they take their roles secretly and given a special power which goes and corresponds with it. You are adventurers looking for the ancient city which is buried in the sand, and this city has a secret which is this flying machine which is solar powered, and you want to discover it and take it back home. But as you're traveling through the desert, there's a giant sandstorm which blows sand up everywhere. Woo! And your helicopter crash lands. You now have to work as a team to try and discover the secrets of this city, find the flying machine, and then get all the way home before the sandstorm gets to deadly levels. So once the players have secretly chosen their roles, they take their pieces and they place them on this crash site. And that's where all players start. The configuration of the board is laid out like this. You'll place the tiles with the compass roses all facing the same direction, and you'll place these sand tiles out in this formation, and this is the sandstorm. This is where the sandstorm is. You will choose how many players you've got. As you can see, this is a 2-player game. And you set it at the level that you want, which is here, novice. Okay, you can have up to 5 players. And then the game will begin. These are the 6 roles in the game, and each role has a special ability which breaks one of the rules of the game. And what are the rules of the game? Well, they're lovelyly stated on the back of the card. So you can have 4 actions, and then afterwards you draw storm cards up to the storm level. Those 4 actions are: number 1, you can move into an adjacent unblocked tile. This tile here is unblocked. This tile here is unblocked, though it has some sand on it. This tile here is blocked, it has a lot of sand on it, and this tile is actually the sandstorm, so you can't actually move there. 2, you can clear sand from an adjacent space, so one action would clear that sand. You can clear it from the space that you're on, one action would clear that sand.
or you can clear it from a big pile of sand. 1 action, 2 action, 3 actions just to clear that. The third action you can do is excavate. You can only excavate a tile if there is no sand on it. So in this case, this tile could not be excavated. But once there's no sand on it, you can excavate it. For that one action, you turn the tile over and it will reveal something. In this case, it's an artifact, an object. And there's a deck of object artifact cards. And you just take one from the top. In this case, it's a Doom Blaster, which you can play at any time, and it does not count as an action, so you can play it on another player's plane, and it will remove all sand from one of the tiles adjacent. There's also another one, a Time Throttler, which basically gives you 2 more actions, and there's a variety in there. Well, not that many, but there's a few in there. Some of the tiles will tell you a clue to where one of the objects of the flying machine is. So like the compass of the flying machine is somewhere in this row, and it won't be until you find that the second you'll know that it's on that tile. Some of these tiles have these tunnels, which means that when you're on here for one action, you can move to that one immediately. These tunnels are very useful and they will protect you from the sun, which I'll talk about later. You also have these tiles here with the water on it, the little oasis. Okay, these play an important part as well because some of them don't have water, but some of them do. And I'll talk about water in a minute. And the final action that you can possibly do is pick up a part. But you can only pick up a part if there's no sand on the tile and if the location has been excavated. And then you can pick up. So that would be 3 actions. Now this tile here, you need this tile. This is where the body of the flying vessel is. Ta-da! So at the end of the game, you need to get all your posse together and then install all the components to fly away safely and win the game. So after the players had their 4 actions, that's when it turns to the next part of the game, where you draw sandstorm cards. At the beginning of the game, it will be set at whatever level you set it at, so in this case, I'll draw 2 cards. You turn these over, and they are indicated which way the storm moves. So in this case, the storm here moves down 1 space, so the storm is now here. And what it does is it leaves a trail of sand behind it. So you place a sand tile on top like that. And as you can see, there's another one. So the storm moves this way. And because there's sand on this one, that's when you put it that way up, which means that it's impassable. Nobody can walk on it. And as the game goes on, more and more sand will be added to the map. What will happen is if there's no more sand tiles for you to put on the map, you will lose the game. Your crew is buried. There are some other cards which are in the deck. Number 1, the storm picks up. This basically means that you move the arrow up a notch. So next time a player has to draw cards from the storm deck, they have to take 3. And obviously 4, 5, 6 as it moves up. And if it ever reaches the top level, it's game over. Another card in the sandstorm deck is the sun beats down. Now I spoke to you briefly about water and why it's important. Because on your player card, you have a water level. And every time the sun beats down, you have to knock the water level down. And when it gets to the red, you're dead. D'accord. Forbidden Desert is a board game that everybody should aspire to make. This game just gleams professionality. The box is beautiful, the insert is beautiful, the rule book is beautiful, the components are practical and nice, the artwork, everything is lovely. The rules are simple, the gameplay is simple, light, fun. This is a family game which is an adventure, race against time puzzle. You're trying to turn these tiles over as quickly as possible to find the clues, to find the bits, to make the ship, to fly away and win the game. Simple. The
game is easy to pick up and play. It plays within 45 minutes, although you can get that time down when you know how to play the game really well. And if you have a problem or question about the rules, you can find the answer in the rulebook very, very simply. It's no Arkham Horror, I can tell you. Where this game's a co-op, you can play it solo, which is quite fun. You can pick a couple of characters and you can treat it like a puzzle game for yourself to just bash out when you've got 20 minutes, 30 minutes free. Although the game does feel a bit formulaic, a bit like a Sudoku. Once you know what you've got to do and how to do it, it becomes quite easy. And again, you have got the levels to make it harder and more difficult, but again, it's just the repetitiveness of the game. The randomness of the cards in the deck and the randomness of the tiles does not really extend the gameplay. For example, I've played this game about 10-15 times and I'm starting to get a bit fatigued of the game, and it just becomes a repetitive chore. And you know, my daughter will say, yeah, let's play that, and get it out and we set it up, and I'm kind of like half in the game and half out the game because I've played it quite a bit and the replayability value is starting to dip, so it loses a fraction of a point for replayability for me. All the mechanics of the game are solid. You're not going to have any problems. The mechanic I really love is the finding the clues, where you turn 2 tiles over and they point to a location, and then you just got to get to that location and get what you got. I wish there was something like that in Cluedo. Make Cluedo so much better. You know, if you you find a clue in the kitchen and you turn the card over and it says yellow, and then you look at the board and you go, okay, there's yellow wallpaper in the billiard room, the candlestick's yellow, okay, and then you find another clue and it says green, and then you put the 2 and 2 together, but there's no green on the candlestick, but the billiard room has a billiard table which is green and the yellow wallpaper, so the murder was in the billiard room. It's such a simple mechanic, but it works really well and it just makes the game so much fun. Now there is another game, pretty much the same, by the same designer, the same publisher, called Forbidden Island. Almost said Desert there. Lucky I didn't say Heroescape. But yeah, Forbidden Island is probably pretty much the same. I can't comment because I've never played it. But one game that I have played is Pandemic, which is again by the same designer. And it's a co-op game where you're moving, you have the actions, the move, the research, whatever. And I can compare it to that. And this is better than Pandemic in my opinion. It's lighter, it doesn't feel so heavy. Yeah, you've got decisions to make, but it's a puzzle, and the theme of Pandemic is a little bit grey and daunting, and each decision is very, very hard to figure out. Whereas in this, you don't mind. You know, hey, I'm Indiana Jones, I can do whatever I want. Hey, let's go over here and explore this bit. And that's where this game shines. Its lightness, its heart, its core, its spirit is really, really good. Now, there's one rule which bogs this game down. Sorry to say it. It's the rule where if one player dies of thirst, all the players die and it's game over. What a really... Can you imagine you're watching Indiana Jones and his posse's got Short Round and the girl with him, and they've all crashed in the desert and they're all looking for the clues to find this tomb of doom, and then Short Round dies. Is it the film over? No. Why can't the characters carry on playing? Yeah? And carry on finding the clues. It's like the Alfred Molina character in the first film. If he died and Indy died at the same time, it wouldn't be a good film, would it? It'd be boring. But Alfred Molina's character died, and then Indy grabbed the artifact. Why can't you do that in this game? Come on, Matt, you've seen... So that is the real bugbear of this game for me. It's just a rule for losing the game, making the game end, and it's just doesn't fit. It doesn't. So from now on, I'm not playing with that rule. If one person dies, they're out of here. Get out! And shut the door. All in all,
pretty good family game, and I would give it an 8 out of 10. I would give it more, but there's that stinking rule. Oh, apart from Skyrim, what have I been playing? Okay, well, I'm not quite sure. Come with me, I'll go and check my supercomputer. Okay, now according to my supercomputer, I've been playing quite a lot of games. So what should I talk about? Okay, I'm going to talk about this one, King of Tokyo. Cue graphic. Now, King of Tokyo is a game that I really love, and then the expansions come out and they kind of didn't do what I was expecting them to do, and they kind of disheartened me a bit. Been playing King of Tokyo with some guys that I've met at the gaming group that I attend, and we played it with both expansions, the costume Halloween and the power-up. And I'm actually starting to come around to this idea. King of Tokyo is a Yahtzee game where you're rolling dice to get combinations of attacks or regenerate your health, because you're all big monsters and you're all fighting each other to get King of Tokyo. It's a really like fun game, and I like this one a lot, and I'm starting to like it more now with the expansions. Hopefully there'll be some more expansions and it make the game even better, but apparently there's another version of the game coming out called Kings of New York. And the other game, oh, there you are. And the other game I want to talk about is a game called Concordia, which is a hand management, card drafting, area control, resource gathering game. Bit of a mouthful that, but it's a really fun game. Each player has a deck of cards, and each card has action that they can do, and also a special ability. So each turn you play a card. It can let you move your colonies around the board, or gather resources, or let you buy other cards which you then put into your hand and use. The cards are great. You can have a card which copies the power of another card of another player, and then when you either run out of cards, or whenever you want, you can re-grab these cards, take an action, and then start again. There's great mechanics. The game is mechanically sound. There's a mechanic for taking resources or giving money. There's the deck building card hand management mechanic. Then you've got a little warehouse where you put all your resources, so you've got to manage that, and then you're buying locations everywhere. It's not heavy, but it is quite thinky, pensive. The bad news about the game is that it comes in a really ugly, disformed box. And the good news about the game is my wife likes it. And the last game I want to talk about is Ticket to Ride, and in particular the Switzerland map, which comes with the Indian and Switzerland map collection volume 2 thing. Yes, been playing Ticket to Ride with my daughter. She's been getting used to playing it, and we played it with this map version, and it is really nasty. Ticket to Ride, you're collecting cards, and they're different coloured cards with trains on them, obviously, and you have these routes connecting between cities. What was that at the time? Oh. So anyway, and then you use these cards to connect the cities, because these routes are different colours. So there's a route between this city and that city, and it's blue. You need 4 blue cards. And basically, the more trains you get out and the more connections you make, the more points you get. Now this version is really nasty. I found myself playing to the best of my ability with my wife and my 7-year-old daughter, and I still lost quite drastically. I was 30 points behind my daughter, and my daughter was 30 points behind my wife. I want a rematch. But it was a really good game, really had fun, and hopefully one day I'll review Ticket to Ride, because it's a game that you should have, and you should have in your collection. So there you go. That's what I've been playing recently. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you hopefully soon with another review and some thoughts on games.